2 Kings 3. Joram. This will be Joram of Israel, the northern kingdom. This Joram does evil. However, not all evil men just do everything evil. Occasionally they do something good as well. And that's where it gets confusing. Because you'll see a man do something good and you think, oh, that's a good man. But then you look again and there's 25 bad things. That's Joram. 2 Kings 2, chapter 3, verse 2. And he wrought evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his fathers and like his mother. For he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless he clave unto the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin, and departed not therein, or therefrom. Okay, so he did put away Baal. That's a good move. That's been a stronghold in Israel for a long time. And it was a sin that his father had perpetuated, and his father had perpetuated, and he says, we're stopping it right here. No more of this. But he had some of his own favorite sins, and he held on to those. The other thing he does is he forms an alliance with Jehoshaphat. Now, we know who's ruling in the south. Who is it? We have Joram in the north and Joram in the south. But it's not Joram alone. It's Joram as a co-regent. Jehoshaphat is still on the throne as well. So Jehoshaphat is there, and he has his sons. And his sons are ruling with him, he's grooming them. He's probably going to take the pick of the litter when he's ready to die after having watched them, and they're apprenticing with him. Here he is in 2 Kings 3, verse 4. He's going to form an alliance with Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and with the king of Edom. So we got an alliance with the south and with a heathen nation to go against another heathen nation, Moab. 2 Kings 3, verse 4. And Mesha, king of Moab, was sheep master, and he rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. But it came to pass, when Ahab was dead, that the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. And King Joram went out of Samaria the same time and numbered all Israel. Why is he numbering them? See how many men can fight. Verse 7. And he went and sent to Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, that's the king in the south, saying, the king of Moab rebelled against me. Wilt thou go with me against Moab to battle? This is Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat knows better. This is 3 strikes, you're out. But he's going to do it anyway. Wilt thou go with me against Moab? And he said, I'll go up. I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. How many times does he have to go through this thing? Back and forth. Verse 9. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom. 3, in this case, is not company. It's bad news. So they get together, and they are going to go to war as a confederacy. Verse 10. The king of Israel said, alas, that the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. Verse 11. But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord? Have we not been through this very same thing again? It was the end of 1 Kings. Yes. That we may inquire of the Lord by him. And this time it's not going to be Micaiah, it's going to be Elisha. And one of the king of Israel's servants answered and said, here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Jehoshaphat said, the word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. Okay, so they go down to him. They're going to get advice from him. Verse 14 is the pertinent information. And Elisha says, as the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely, were it not that I regarded the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee, nor see thee. He says, there's 3 of you there, but there's only one that I respect. And because I respect him, I'm going to do something special. You other losers just got in by the skin of your teeth. And they did. They go up, and God is actually going to let them have a victory. Verse 19. And ye shall smite every fenced city and every choice city, and fell every good tree, and stop the wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones. And they do it. They go out, and they're just running them ragged. Verse 22. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. So the Moabites get up, and they look out at the water, and the sun's shining on it, and it looks like it's blood. They say, oh, they've turned against each other, or somebody else has come in, and it's a slaughter. We better run for the hills. And they come in, verse 27. The battle's so bad, they chase the Moabites right back into their own land, and they're just letting them have it. And the Moabite king says, I've got to do something drastic in order to get some adrenaline flowing so that we can whip these guys. Verse 27. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead, and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him and returned to their own land. So he does something even wicked. The people say there must be something satanic going on if he's going to offer his son as a sacrifice, the one that's supposed to take his place on the throne. There's probably some power behind that. And there is power behind witchcraft. There's power in demonic things. However, it's still subject to my God. Now, they shouldn't have stopped there. Once you're fighting, just keep on fighting until there ain't nothing there. Keep shooting the gun until there's no bullets. You know? That's right. That's right. But they leave. Too bad. Let's see what happens in the south. Joram in the south. Joram of Judah. He begins to reign in the 5th year of Joram of Israel, and he reigns for 8 years. Now he's going to reign as a co-regent. 2 Kings 8, verse 16. Second Kings 8:16. And in the 5th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, Jehoshaphat, being then king of Judah, Joram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. That is a mouthful. They're both reigning at the same time, both Jehoshaphat and Joram. Verse 17. 32 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. Okay, so we'll find some references to Jehoshaphat still being made while Joram is on the throne. Sometimes they refer to Joram until Jehoshaphat is actually dead. Joram does evil. He's not any better. So now we've got Joram in the north doing bad, Joram in the south doing bad. It's just bad news all around. The only one that's showing any kind of light is his dad, Jehoshaphat. And that's probably just because he's been whipped so many times. He's got some humility between he and God. That will give you humility. And sometimes it takes a person to get some age on them before they have humility before God, because they've not seen enough trouble from life. Life is its own schoolmaster. And when you get a little bit of correction from life and God says, hey, buddy, I'm in control, and then you turn to him in humility, then you start seeing him as powerful as he really is. He does evil. 2 Kings 8, verse 18. His wife is the daughter of Ahab. So he marries into the northern kingdom. Though he's the king of the south, Judah, he marries the daughter of, what would that be, a princess in the north.
But they got cursed too.
Yeah, well, both of them do. Yeah, both of them get cursed. And that's a wicked alliance. Now, maybe he loved her, maybe he didn't, but you'll find a lot of marriages were done out of pure political means. What will unite this, and what will give us a good alliance, and that type of thing. It wasn't about love at all. But I don't know about this one. I'm just saying in general. Even in modern history, you find the same. 2 Kings 8, verse 18. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab. Uh-oh. Now they're comparing Judah with Ahab. That's not good. For the daughter of Ahab was his wife, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah for David, his servant's sake. Just like there was some special favor given because of Jehoshaphat, there's going to be some special favor given because of David. We're going way back now. As he promised to give him always a light to his children. And then you find the same thing in 2 Chronicles 21, and I'm just going to read one verse, but you'll find it 2 Chronicles 21, verse 6 to 7, and verse 11. We'll just read verse 11. Here's going to give you one of the wicked things he does. Moreover, he made high places in the mountains of Judah. That's down south. And caused the inhabitants of Jerusalem to commit fornication, and compelled Judah thereto. Pure wickedness. So, we've got bad news up north. We've got bad news out south. I mean, it's just bad news all around. It's not, I mean, we might be in North Korea here. I don't know. But there's always going to be a spokesman. Pretty soon you'll start seeing, even in the darkest spot, God is still working. God's still calling people. He's still correcting. If you'll turn to him, he'll show favor even in the midst of darkness. Joram in Judah. Edom and Libnah revolt. In 2 Kings 8, verse 20. 2 Kings 8, verse 20. You find in the northern kingdom what's happening is people will hold the throne. There's no real royal line, but somebody will hold the throne, and it's king of the mountain. Whoever can knock them off gets it. But that's not anything unusual. Same thing's been going on amongst all the pagans. All the other nations that are non-Israelite are doing the same thing. We find it here. 2 Kings 8, verse 20. In his days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah and made a king over themselves. Okay, so now Edom has done some kind of revolt, and now they've got their own king they've set up themselves. So Joram went over to Zar, and all the chariots with him, and he rose by night and smote the Edomites, which compassed him about, and the captains of the chariots, and the people fled unto their tents. Yet Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah unto this day. Then Libnah revolted at the same time. When it rains, it pours. Now, he probably didn't stop to think. You never find him turning to God, saying, God, our help comes from you. Now, we've seen that happen before, and God rewarded it. Here, trouble is just smacking him one right after the next. And he never slows down and says, God, help. Did he think that just because Edom did bad and he whooped them, that now the next one that comes up, he's suddenly much powerful enough to go take them on too? But it says that Edom's continued to revolt. Even though he whipped them, he's going to have to keep whipping them. And while he's keeping on whipping them, we're fighting in Afghanistan, and we're fighting in Libya, and we're fighting in... He's going to have to keep on fighting, and now it's going to be multiple fronts, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Until a person turns to God, the worse gets worser. That's good English. Okay, the next thing that happens. This is Joram in the south. He receives a writing from Elijah and warns Joram of a plague on his family and foretells about his death. Now, I know I just said something that should have made you question. I said he received a writing from Elijah. Anybody see a problem with that? You'd think Elijah's dead. That's right. Well, I don't know if this is out of order. I don't know if he put it in the mail and it just now reached him. I don't know. Well, it had to have moved a lot slower than what our mail does. And we've waited 3 weeks before on a piece of mail.
Our mailman was
Yeah, that's right. Now, this mail isn't just going to the same province. It's traveling from the northern kingdom all the way down to the southern kingdom. And so it's got some hoops to jump through. Yeah, yep. So here it is, 2 Chronicles 21. 2 Chronicles 21, verse 12. And there came a writing to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, Thus saith the Lord God of David thy fathers, because thou hast not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat thy father, nor in the ways of Asa king of Judah. So that God gives credit where credit's due. He said, there's been two guys down there that you've had good examples you could have chosen. And we all have the same thing. There are some good people who are living right, doing what they should do that we could look at. But that's no fun. Verse 13. But hast walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, and hast made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go whoring, like to the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and also hast slain thy brethren in thy father's house, which were better than thyself. Behold, with great plague will the Lord smite thy people, and thy children, and thy wives, and thy goods. And thou shalt have great sickness by disease of thy bowels, until thy bowels fall out by reason of the sickness day by day. It's not just you're going to die, it's going to be a slow, painful death. Whew. That's bad news. You don't want to get that letter. Say, return to sender, no longer at this address. Something. Okay, the Arabians and the Philistines invade Judah and carry away Jeroboam's possessions, his wives, his sons, except they missed one. They didn't get all his sons. They thought they did. That's 2 Chronicles 21, verse 16 and 17. Moreover, the Lord stirred up against Joram the spirit of the Philistines and of the Arabians that were near the Ethiopians. That's just one pagan after the next. And they came up into Judah and brake into it and carried away all the substance that was found in the king's house, and his sons also, and his wives, so that there was never a son left him, save one was saved from the destruction, save Jehoahaz, if I'm saying that right, Jehoahaz, I think that's how you say it, Jehoahaz, the youngest of his sons. That's probably not one who was destined for the throne. But now he is. He's the only one left. Jehoram from the south. Joram from the south. Yeah, that's the one who got a letter from Elijah saying you're going to die. All right, so let's go to one other thing, to Joram in the south in Judah here. He dies, just like Elijah said he would. Even though Elijah couldn't get the mail there fast enough, he didn't know how to get to FedEx or something. He was trying to use UPS. It didn't work. 2 Chronicles 21:18. And after all this, the Lord smote him in his bowels with an incurable disease. And it came to pass that in the process of time, after the end of 2 years, his bowels fell out by reason of his sickness. So he died of sore disease. Not just disease, it was sore. And his people made no burning for him like the burning of his fathers. That would be cremation. There's a whole thing on, is cremation good or is it bad? The old timers say that cremation is bad because it's a picture of the wrath of God, fire. So what? So is water. Well, I still drink water. I mean, everybody right now is under the wrath of God. I mean, we're covered in it. We got water above us and water below us. You're under wrath. He took dirt and made a man. I'm sure he's going to take those ashes and change those molecules. It didn't matter if you turned them into ashes or they were still rotted flesh in the stomach of ants or maggots that eat it. Yeah. Maggots are going to eat your body when it goes in the grave. I mean, and he pulls the molecules out of the maggot belly. Well, this is a tasty message here.
Where's dinner?
That's right. That's right. So nothing's going to stop what God's going to do. I know some people are going to freak out when they hear me say that I don't have any problem with cremation, but I don't see it. Anyway, okay, that's my hobby horse for the night. Do what? Yeah, it's cheaper. Okay, the closing remarks on this guy are in 2 Chronicles 21, verse 20. 32 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years, and departed without. That's 2 Chronicles 21, 20. Yes, this is still Joram of the south. 32 years old was when he began to reign. He reigned in Jerusalem 8 years and departed without being desired. What an epitaph. He died, nobody wanted him. Howbeit they buried him in the city of David, but not in the sepulchre of the kings. Unmarked grave. Yeah, it was because probably nobody was brave enough to go near him. And it was a curse from God, and they knew that. So they probably didn't want to get near that either. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let the house collapse on him and call it done. That's right. Okay, Joram in the north. Joram of Israel. What's going on up there? We're going to get a little backstory on the political arena. Hazael is king in Syria. Now, it was Elijah's job to anoint Hazael king, but he didn't do it. Elisha does it. So we're at the time in history where Elisha has anointed Hazael king of Syria. 2 Kings 8, verse 7. 2 Kings 8, verse 7. And Elisha came to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, was sick, and it was told him, saying, The man of God is come thither. And the king said unto Hazael, Take a present in thine hand, and go meet the man of God, and inquire of the Lord by him, saying, Shall I recover of this disease? So Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him, even a very good thing of Damascus, 40 camels' burdens, and came and stood before him, and said, Thy son Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, hath sent me to thee, saying, Shall I recover of this disease? And Elisha said unto him, Go say unto him, Thou mayest certainly recover. Howbeit, the Lord hath showed me that he shall surely die. Now, how about that for an answer?
Get you healthy first.
That's right. You're going to get well, and then you're going to die. Well, let's just stop with half the answer then. Yeah. But, yeah. Verse 11. And he settled his countenance steadfast until he was ashamed. And the man of God wept. And Hazael said, Why weepest, my Lord? And he answered, Because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Israel. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and wilt dash their children, rip up their women with child. I can't read. Verse 13, Hazael said, But what? He's a little punk. You can just tell the way he's talking. But what? Is thy servant a dog that he should do this great thing? Yeah. Matter of fact, you are. Glad you noticed. And Elijah answered, The Lord hath showed me that thou shalt be king over Syria. It's going to happen. So he departed from Elisha, and came to his master, who said unto him, What said Elisha to thee? And he answered, He told me that thou shalt surely recover. And I don't really even like that. Verse 15, And it came to pass on the morrow that he took a thick cloth, dipped it, I can't read, dipped it in water, and spread it on his face, so that he died, and Hazael reigned in his stead. Talk about waterboarding, there it is. He suffocated him. So he did get well for about 2 seconds. And he said, well, I was just helping him with his fever. I put a cool cloth on his head, and it just dripped down over his nose and his mouth. And that's the wickedness that's going on all around. Everybody's fighting for that throne. I'd say Johnny don't want the throne. Y'all have it. That's a dangerous spot to be. Jehu is anointed by Elisha. Remember, Elijah had 3 missions. Of the 3, he only completed 1. The 3 missions he was sent on were anoint who? Hazael, king in Syria. And then anoint Elisha, prophet in your stead. And anoint Jehu to be king, because I'm getting rid of the house of Ahab. And that's the reason for it. But he didn't do it. So Elisha does it. 2 Kings 9, verse 1. 2 Kings 9, verse 1. Verse 1 to 13 is the story. It's long, so I won't read it to you. In this story, you find that Jehu's anointed. People don't want to believe it until they find out that he's going to be king. And then suddenly everybody's for it. They say, hey, what's that crazy nut coming in here, that Bible thumper coming in here? Don't listen to anything he has to say. And Jehu and all his buddies, you just laugh and have an uproar and go back to drinking. And then all of a sudden, this is actually the servant of Elisha. Comes in and says, I need to talk to you outside. So they step outside, and he says, the Lord's called me to anoint you king. You're going to be king in Israel. So Elisha, servant, runs back. Jehu goes back into his buddies, the ones who had just told him, don't pay any attention to that old kook. And they say, what did he have to say? He said, well, he said, I'm going to be king. They said, well, God save the king. You know, he's going to be king. Wait, just a few minutes ago, you were saying don't listen to anything he has to say. That's the world. If it benefits what the plan they think is good, they're all for it, no matter where it comes from. That's right. A Christian, they'll put up with a Christian if the Christian is pushing the same media program they want. They won't put up with a Christian the second that the Christian says something they don't like. And vice versa. A lot of Christians are putting up with junk from the world because they think it's going right along with the plan they think. That's why I don't want to jump into bed with the Catholics and the Mormons and all the other guys who are saying, let's march against abortion. I'm not saying it's wrong for you to do it. I'm saying it's wrong for me to do it. We don't serve the same God. That's going to be viewed as a religious thing, and that's not my religion. The Catholic is not the same religion as me. Now, I'm glad they're doing that. They're pushing morality. However, don't view it as though we're both the same religion, because we're not. So let's see what happens next. Joram and Jehu's in the north. Joram and Jezebel are killed by Jehu, along with 70 of Ahab's sons. Jehu is a bloody man. Now, they say David was a bloody man, but I think most of David's blood was fought in legitimate battles. This Jehu character, I think he just enjoyed killing. And you find there's some negative comments on him in Isaiah and Jeremiah because he was so bloody. 2 Kings 9, verse 30. 2 Kings 9:30. And when Jehu was come unto Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. And she painted her face and tired her head and looked out a window. Okay, so she's dolling all up. She heard he's coming, and that wasn't a good thing. She's got to put on an advertisement for him, because she knows if he's coming, bad news is on the way. Verse 31. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, had Zimri peace who slew his master? Now y'all remember Zimri. Zimri, y'all don't remember that one? Look it up. I don't have time to cover it tonight. Had Zimri peace who slew his master? Okay, she's reminding him, hey, you can't get the throne by murder. it doesn't equal peace. The men who take the throne by murder get murdered. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's what she's trying to tell him. Verse 32. And he lifted up his face to the window and said, "Who's on my side? Who?" And there looked out him 2 or 3 eunuchs. Okay, these are, I don't know, but these are probably not eunuchs because of choice. It's because of the king's choice. So, you know what side they're on. It's not the king's side. So she's got enemies right there standing at the window and doesn't even realize it. Verse 33. And he said, "Throw her down." So they threw her down. And some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses. And he trod her underfoot. Am I saying that right? Trod? Trod? It's got an E on the end of it. Trod? Trod. I think. Yeah, we would have said trod, but I trod it.
I have seen trod without the E, but in this it's E, so I think it would be trod.
Yeah. I trod you what it was. Verse 34. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, "Go see now this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is the king's daughter." Okay, now he's all respectful now. Really? This is just a show. Verse 35. And when they went to bury her, they found no more of her than the skull, and the feet, and the palms of her hands. Wherefore they came again and told him. And he said, "This is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Jezreel shall the dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel." Sure enough, that's why he was anointed, and he's fulfilling his mission. And the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, "This is Jezebel." She'll be back, and you see her from time to time around town. A wicked woman can pick up the spirit of Jezebel, and you'll find them all through. In a minute, well, not this lesson. Next Wednesday, we'll find a Jezebel incognito that shows up in the south. Athaliah. 2 Kings 9:24. Second Kings 9:24. Here's what he thinks of Joram in the north, his king. And Jehu drew a bow with his full strength and smote Joram between his arms. And the arrow went out at his heart, and he sunk down in his chariot. Okay, he's killed the queen. He's killed the ruling king, but he's not done yet. 2 Kings 10:9. 2 Kings 10:9. You can read the whole passage. I'm just going to give you one verse out of it. Verse 9. And it came to pass in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, "Ye be righteous." He's being facetious. "Behold, I conspired against my master and slew him." He sure did. That's what we just read. He killed Joram. "But who slew these?" He had turned the whole town into a bunch of killers. They killed 70 of Ahab's sons. So, he's wicked news, but he's fulfilling God's mission, because God said, Ahab is wicked, we're getting rid of him. We're getting rid of his seed. So, he's getting ready to take the throne. Jehu is. And we probably better stop it there. Next week, we'll pick up with a guy that's going to reign in the south for 1 year.